Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Speaker, in 2008, the Equal Pay Coalition released detailed recommendations on how to eliminate the gender wage gap by 2025. 8 years later, the gap remains stuck at around 30%, and Ontarians have yet to see specific concrete actions to close the gap from the Premier or her government. Speaker, how can Ontarians have confidence in the Premier's commitment to eliminate the gender wage gap when her 2016 budget did not include any of the key strategies recognized as essential to achieve equal pay, such as investments in childcare, and the Liberal government has consistently failed to enforce its own pay equity and employment standards laws?
Thank you.
Minister responsible for the women's issues.
Minister responsible for women's issues and children.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And I want to thank my critic for this very important question and for asking it today on Equal Pay Day. And as the critic knows, it's in my mandate letter as well as the Minister of Labour's mandate letter to develop a wage gap strategy to ensure that we close that gap, Speaker. And we want women to achieve their full economic potential. We want fairness. We want equitable treatment in workforces. And closing that gap is important to families as well, not just to women themselves. So we appointed a steering committee last year to lead the development of that wage gap strategy, and the Minister and I met with the panel just this morning, Speaker, and a number of consultations were held throughout the province, and a summary of what was heard is made public on the Ministry of Labour's website.
Answer.
And we know there's more to do, Speaker. The Minister of Labour and I are deeply committed to addressing this issue. Thank you.
Supplementary.
Yeah.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, women in Ontario have waited too long for the Premier to make the changes that are necessary to close the gap. The Premier has ignored the actions that can be taken right now, like childcare funding and enforcing labour laws, actions that do not require the report of the Gender Wage Gap Steering Committee. And despite the gender lens mandate that was given to the Minister responsible for women's issues, it is clear that no effort was made to apply a gender and equity lens to the 2016 budget. Speaker, once the final report of the Gender Wage Gap Steering Committee is received in May, will the Premier make the report public, and will she move immediately to implement the recommendations? Or will Ontarians have to wait another 8 years or longer to see any concrete action?
Thank you. Minister.
Minister of Labour.
Minister of Labour.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you to the member for the question. I want to thank the steering committee for the tremendous work they've done on behalf of this House, travelling throughout the province of Ontario, talking to people, getting advice from those people, getting ideas as how we can close the gender wage gap, Speaker. These are our mothers, our granddaughters, our sisters, our aunts. There's nobody in this House that agrees in 2016 that a gender wage gap should still exist. These people are bringing forward their ideas, Speaker. It's a process that's been put in place. I want to thank everybody that's taken part in this process to date. 530 people came forward. Almost 1,500 people sent in their ideas, Speaker. The idea is a report was received today. The recommendations will follow very, very shortly. The implementation phase comes after that. I look forward to the support of all members of the House in the implementation phase, Speaker.